We are the Arcturians. We have met many times before. We are happy to be assigned to your light emanation.
Thank you for coming.
You're welcome. Well, we introduced ourselves just in case you wonder. We know you have many visitors.
Mm-hmm.
We will speak just briefly about political power structures. There are some very deeply entrenched power structures, not just in your country, but in several others, many others. That are misaligned with the will of the people and the will of Source. Yet they remain in power. Because of covert influences that are very intentional. That sway things in their favor.
Yes.
But there is a sifting going on, a shaking and a sifting, a shaking and a sifting, shaking and a sifting. When you sift flour, this is a practice that is not very common anymore in your culture.
Mm-hmm.
But when you sift flour, the most attentive bakers will do so in order to refine the flour. Refining in order to give it ever so delicate a texture. Refining, sifting to remove the lumps and bumps. So the Creator is allowing and has for, we will say eons, this might be an accurate word for you, allowed this sort of sifting of power structures on the earth. Since the age of Napoleon and before, even long before. And so the Creator allows this sifting and shaking and sifting and shaking to refine the souls of men. For lessons around power and powerlessness are paramount to the Earth School. And so when one feels powerful, and then when one feels powerless, these are both moments of great sifting and refining. Now there are other species and other cosmic friends who have endured the sifting and the shaking, and they do not misuse or abuse power, you see.
Yes.
They can be trusted with power. And because they have transcended in this way, they are not afraid to institute external power structures within their societies and races for there is a general consensus and enlightenment that allows them to have these structures and trust that these structures are used for the good of all and that everyone's benefit is considered and that decisions made are made for the greater good at every turn. And so for these species, there is not a conflict between external power and integrity of the soul. And the ones who have the power, the external power, that are servants. And they do not exert power over others in a way that causes them to feel powerless. And so the structures of power exist with no one feeling powerless. The structures that exist empower all. And these are highly evolved species, such as the Syrians. And those of Orion, and many others. So Earth is very juvenile in this process of evolution in regards to power structures, internal and external power. But the Creator allows this sifting and refining process. And it is for the good of all to allow this process to continue. For those who abuse and misuse their power and exert force over the powerless, their actions will serve to galvanize the souls of the powerless. And the powerless will acquire great strength of integrity and source alignment through the processes. For in places of deep powerlessness in the face of external structures, wicked structures, there is an opportunity for the soul to transcend. There were many in World War II in prison camps who died as victims, but there were many who were utterly powerless in the face of the external structures of the enemy, and yet their souls were indescribably transcendent and glorious and victorious. And they were quite free and at peace. And why are we sharing all these things?
Yes, good question.
Well, there is a tendency to give attention to these wicked and oppressive power structures and to inwardly rail against them. To expend one's energy and attention in the wishing and wanting of their disappearance or their overthrow, or whatever one perceives in the mind to be the correct outcome in their regards. And so we share with you tonight that the Creator is sifting, shaking and sifting like a gentle grandmother in the kitchen with her sifter and the flour, and sifting the flour and shaking it and sifting it and shaking it until the flour is ever so fine and refined, and will be ever so delicious in the creation, what she is creating in her kitchen. And so this is the way of the Creator with these power structures. And it will do its work. And we share this in the hopes that you will not be disturbed or sidetracked, that you would never lose sleep over the shaking and sifting that you see in external power structures. But know that these things are allowed by the Creator, and He is not asleep. She is busy in the kitchen, but quite undisturbed and not worried. And all is well. And so our presence here through the vessel and the presence of many other species coming and visiting, not just through this vessel, but through so many others, we are bringing reassurance and a broader view to you, a broader view that is ever so much more comprehensive than the television. It is ever so much more comprehensive and close to Creator's perception. And this is the reason for speaking through such vessels as this one, to give you a perspective, an off-world, ancient and evolved perspective. In order that you may trust. And we thank you for allowing us to share in this matter.
We thank you for sharing it with us.
Yes, if you have questions, we are open for that.
So, if I tried to simplify all that, I would come up with pay attention to the good things that are happening and not to the bad things. Pay attention to the people who are doing the good work and not the bad work. Exactly.
Yes, and even beyond that, when you see the wicked things, when you encounter the power structures that are less than desirable, simply observe and know that the Creator is sifting and shaking those ones, and that you need not be overwrought or distracted or upset by it in any way.
Got it.
We are after, yes, we appreciate what you are saying. You are saying, be mindful of where you give attention. Yes. Even more than that, we are saying, we are asking you for a very deep level of trust.
Okay.
You see. You see, the Christ had this very deep, indescribable level of trust. You see, when he spoke with his Father, he knew that he was being asked to die a very cruel and painful death. Preceded by betrayal of his dearest friends, their betrayal and abandonment, and very brutal physical torture. And so, in that moment, there was nothing positive with which he could direct his attention. You see?
Yes.
As you were mentioning.
Yes.
There was nothing, but he proceeded in his surrender out of a very deep level of trust in the Creator. So the power structures of religion and politics brought him to his knees and beat him mercilessly, and there was no good news, as you would say, nothing positive to which he might direct his attention. There was only utter abandonment. And the structures were of a very low level of consciousness. The collective consciousness at that time was completely steeped in fear and control and hatred and survival. But in spite of all these things, he could trust and did trust in each moment in God as his Father and overseer.
Yes, I see what you're saying. I got it.
So yes, there are times you can avert your attention from what is wicked or undesirable. There are other times when you cannot. And when you cannot, you trust. You trust that there is a power greater than yourself at work who knows all things, sees all things, directs all things, and never goes to sleep. And he is like a gentle grandmother in the kitchen of the universe. And humanity is his precious flower, of which he intends to make something so fine and refined and so delectable to his tastes. Something so delicious to ingest. And so he will refine and sift and shake and sift and shake and sift and shake. We are the Arcturians, and we are in loving service to the Christ consciousness and to source energy, and we value your friendship. And we thank you for your attention.
We are so grateful for your help. We thank you more than we can say.
You are welcome. We honor you, dear friends. Be at peace.